Takulandirani ku AMTV Malawi kuchimake kwa nkhani zenizeni. Ngati nkhani imeneyo kuno kulibe, dziwani kuti nkhani imeneyo ndi yabodza.
Ndi banja langa la Malawi Congress Party. Tatopa ndikumangonena kuti dekani. Mufuna tidekhe mpaka naliti. Ife lufunu zotsatira. Azathu a DPP akulengeza zotsatira zawo. Ndipo zili pa wireless. Magrupu sakuponya. Eni yako ama supporters a chipani cha DPP wo. Koma ife tingonena kuti nani apa anaphatikiza lumphi apa mwakuti kukalonga kumwakuti chitipa mwakuti kuchikwa mwakuti kumangochi mwakuti cheni chimene mwapezenu nchiyani. Ngati mutapeza mavuto amene mwachita chiyani ndiye ife timvere kuti chiyani. Panopa tili pati. Talephera zili pati. Bwanjo sangonena chilungamo kuti ifeyo talephera pena zili mwakuti. Ngati muona kuti azanana kuberani mwachitapo chiyani. Mwapititsa kumeke madandaulo anu. Mungotidikirani tidekhe mpaka naliti ife ndi masupporters a chipani tikudikira kuti tife kuti cholondola ni chani. Vuto losava ni limene limumatangwanika zisankho izi ife silikadatanganika nazo ayi. Mcp sikadatanganidwa ni zisankho izi koma kusava. Kukulangizani muno muchite chibwanji. Chotsani nduna ona ni zinthu mene zukalira mtengo. Ona nimene zupangira munthu zako. Nduni ngakhale imodzi vilumbiko mumba basi. Ndamene asinthe zinthu mdziko nduna zonse zili chete. Umangodya ndalama kumeneko. Umira number 1 umira chipani choumira chimagwa pa zisankho. Chipani choumira chimagwa pa zisankho. Zimene zimachitika basi. Kungodzikundikira udindo wanga ndalama zanga zakutiza ndalamazo za chipani osapatsa anthu a chipani osanjoy anthu a chipani. Muli ndanye mata ambiri mtown amene amakuthandizani nkhani za security. Koma avutika ngakhala ulipira malenta anyamata. Kuma apatsa ndalama zonyinyeka inu mudye ndalama zikulu momwe anyamata maja mwasunge mwathandize mwateteze kwambiri anyamata amenaje. Azana DPP anyamata amenaje amalemba ngati ntchito nkumalandira pamwezi. Nchifaka avota sokwambira anyamata amenaje. Chifoti chipani chimasamala. Chipani chidzisamala anthu ake. Chipani chiziteteza dziko. Chipani cha mboma cholamula uluza zisankho one term nutuluka. Zomvetsa chisoni itu. Kusava kumachitsa zimenezi. Ndiye ndimafuna ndikuwuzeni ngati talephera nenani. Komanso vomerezani pa masopa azanu zisavute. Zoti santhu azimenyana mdziko muno sitifuna zoti anthu azimenyana mdziko muno. Dziona ndi la mtendere labata ndi mtendere. Timakhala ndi mtsogoleri limodzi pa nthawi imodzi. Vomerezana apatsena zanu alamulireso dzikoli. Kaya adzala kuitsaso nawo enaso adzatenga kutsogoloko. Koma apata ononga tokha tachita ya tokha. 2020 simudaphunzira zisankho za 2020. Simumakozekera kuti kuli zisankho. Inu mango ngati mungodutsa popeza muli mboma. Anthu ala kuitsula nkhulani. Uyesera ukulangizani simuva, ukuzani kuti tikumanena anu tilankhulane nanu simuva, koma anthu omwe ndangona kuti adakuzungulani omwewo basi mangofanana amenewo chifukwa mudya bwino munamizana amenewo. Mmona ngati munthu nakakabwe pafupi ino adziwika kwa bwana basi akadziwika kwa bwana amene amutenga abwera apa achoka apa pakamwa kuti. Zotsata zake zimakhala zimenezi izi magayi zimakhala zimenezi. Nkaka amavaza munthu. Ena numwina simmamuva bwino nkaka koma ife tikundziwa. Ndiye nkaka adawinitsa chipani chimenechi. Lelo tuli chani lero. Ukataya anthu ene wabafula anthu ene amafunika pa nthenga ndi zelu ni yofunika kwambiri. Osati mango munamiza president mwakuti lero muti chani kwa president. Mukamupatsa uthenga wanji president chabwera panopa. Mukampatsa uthenga wa. Zochitsa manyazi kwambiri. Siti mene lokhala ife uchita zimenezi. Zochitsa manyazi kwambiri. Ife ngati masupporters tufuna tive kuti muti chani. Ino Mcp voters mobilization tuzeni zoona. Muti pa support yona. Anyamata amene mupangana za IT ngokhumuda amene simudathandize. Simudathandize kanthu anthu alibe ndalama mthumba koma agwire ntchito ufuna kuthandiza chipani. Koma alibe kanthu. Azanu and the system. Azanu sawo mina ndalama magawo amadza kuti uwina zisankho ndalama. Munthu sawina zisankho popanda ndalama. Muzidziwa kugwira ntchito as a team. Mundideso, mundilondole muchitaso zimene mungafuna kuchitazo. Koma tikuva kuwawa. Supporter weni wa chipani cha Malawi Congress Party kuva kwa anthu adwala mapipi mmidzi. Ndino anthu antundu wanja zathu ino. Mulibe manyazi temu imodzi tituluke mboma, temu imodzi ndakuwuzani kuti mufuna kodi tituluke mboma mu. Ife zutiwa aba zimenezi. Koma Mcp ulendo una chimwene. Tembo adasunga chipani, kuononga atu chipani, kuthatu chipani. Muti ndi chani kweni. Tuzeni zoona lelolo. Likamalo wadzuwa alitive kuti chimene mukulankhula ndi chani. osati zimene muli ngoluza dekhani tidekhe kuti chani ife tifuna ufa zotsalira tidekhe kuti chani asathalo sangalala kuchiko ife tidekhe kuti chani ayi chibwana chimenecho osati panga ifeya timavota ndifeyo aja mmalondola kumudzi aja ndifeyo ndi osati panga zimene kuti dekhani tidekhe chani voti titaponya tidekhe chani chibwana chochita inu tidekhe ife.
Insurance Institute of Malawi hopes for new ways of growing the industry through innovation and technology. And in sports news, Malawi under-20 women's football national team triumphs 2-0 against South Sudan in the first leg of the 2026 FIFA World Cup preliminary phase. Now the news in detail. Former President Dr. Bakiri Muluzi has pleaded with President Lazarus Chakwera to concede defeat by his predecessor Peter Mutharika in the September 16 presidential race to safeguard peace and stability in the country. Muluzi says over half of the results the Malawi Electoral Commission (MEC) has released show that Mutharika has won the election, and tempers are high among Malawian and followers in the Democratic Progressive Party (DPP) and Malawi Congress Party (MCP) camps. Muluzi has also pleaded with Malawians to remain calm and avoid violence after announcement of the poll results. We hear from Dr. Muluzi.
In 1993, you remember, people of Malawi voted for a democratic system of government. Now, democracy entails that every 5 years, Malawians will be allowed to vote for leaders of their choice. When that was done, was to establish a body which will control and run elections in this country, and that body is called the Malawi Electoral Commission, which is mandated by Constitution to run an election. Now, where we are now, Chikondi, the Malawi Electoral Commission are in the process of analyzing how the elections this year have gone. My appeal to Malawians is that please let us remain calm until the chairperson of the Malawi Electoral Commission announces the elections. People should not cause any disturbances which will destroy property or people's lives. And that's my appeal. And please allow me to say one thing, and that is to say that the way I'm looking at the numbers coming out in these elections, I would really humbly request President Chakwera to make a telephone call to President Peter Mutharika and offer him his congratulations. In so doing, that will ensure that there is peace and stability. The country has to move on a peace and stability the way that I'm looking at.
Meanwhile, MCP Deputy Publicity Secretary Ken Nsonda says that Muluzi is just expressing his right of expression.
As a Malawi Congress Party, we don't comment on the former head of state's sentiments. It is his democratic right to express his opinion. So as a party, we can't comment. After all, he didn't take part in the election. So why should we comment on his opinion? He's entitled to his opinion. And there's nothing wrong with his opinion. That's his constitutional right.
Now, the Malawi Council of Churches, MCC, has joined cause urging President Lazarus Chakwera to concede defeat in the presidential race, citing the wide margin between him and Arthur Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, in the latest official results. The council's chairperson, Bire Gama, emphasized that a prompt concession would help maintain peace and stability and prevent unrest in the country. Gama warns that continued silence from Chakwera might escalate tensions in Malawi.
The difference between APM and Dr. Lazarus Chakwera is so huge, to the extent even if the remaining votes, if there might be few differences, it can't make any difference. So for the time being, it is obvious that APM is going to carry the day. Secondly, I've been in Malawi for so long, and I know that supporters, they will do something to please their leader. So if the president will remain calm without saying anything, what is going to happen? The supporters, they'll be doing certain things just to show to the president to say they are still loyal to him. Now, those are the things that are going to cause the chaos, because if people start fighting back, as a church, that is not what we want. But we saw with the late Dr. Banda, I'm sure you remember, before it was officially announced, Dr. Banda considered defeat. And that made so many people to calm down. So accepting defeat, you become proactive and you become a state person. But now the silence to keep on pushing until the very last minute, I think that's not a good thing because it may cause some violence. So that's why as Malawi Council of Churches, we thought the best thing to be done. But also take note that the president is a reverend. So being a reverend, we are having a stake in that as Malawi Council of Churches. He needs to prove to the country to say he is indeed a statesman, but also a person who loves peace.
Now, still with electoral matters, a presidential candidate for the Anyamata Atsigana Azimai political party, Kwame Bandawe, has conceded defeat. Bandawe said his action comes after reviewing results from the Tally Center and cross-checking with their partners. Member of Political Science Association of Malawi, Boniface Dulani, says candidates conceding defeat before announcement of the final results is a positive development for the country's democracy. More in this report filed by Irene Kaila. The Public Affairs Committee PAG mediation team met the United Democratic Front UDF President Alira Mwa Mtuwagalu after the last Tuesday's general election. The mediation team's chairperson, Reverend Maki Gambalazaza, says the meeting, which took place on Sunday, is one way of advocating for peaceful political solutions in line with the peace declaration which the presidential candidates signed with PAC just before the general elections. While urging the nation to keep calm, Muluzi has confirmed meeting PAC on this issue. We have details in this report filed by Franklin Tambariga. Election results, some members of the National Executive Committee of the United Democratic Front UDF have congratulated DPP President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika for taking an L lead in the country's presidential election. The party's acting spokesperson, Arbana Chirungo, says the party will concede any result that will be announced by the Malawi Electoral Commission (MEC). Chirungo says the decision has been arrived at to promote peace and stability in the country as Malawians await for the poll result.
By the end of the day, we have one who emerged a winner. So it's not too early for us to come, but we have come to show that we are indeed the UDF that promotes peace, and we are indeed the UDF that brought democracy in Malawi. So by and by, we see our president who come also to congratulate. I believe that there are some other also party leaders who have already come forward in congratulating the one who is leading right now. So there is no division. We are the UDF. We work together. We share ideas, and we also have one goal: only to make Malawians be Malawians.
You are watching the news live from the National Talent Center at BICC in the capital Lilongwe with me, Alex Banda. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back to the news on Zodiac from the National Talent Center at BICC in Lilongwe. The headline stories as we continue. Pressure intensifies for President Chakwera to concede defeat as defeat looms. Presidential candidate for AAA political party Kwame Bandawe concedes defeat in the September 16 presidential race. Of growing the industry through innovation and technology. And in sports news, Malawi under-20 women's football national team triumphs 2-0 against South Sudan in the first leg of the 2026 FIFA World Cup preliminary phase. Now moving on with the news. The Insurance Institute of Malawi says it will use this year's annual lecture conference, scheduled for 2nd to 3rd October in Mangoji, to encourage players in the industry to focus on innovation and adaptation of digital ways of growing the sector. The institute's president, Ruben Kamanga, said this today in Ranta when the institute received 6 million kwacha towards from Old Mutual Malawi towards the conference. We hear from Kamanga.
We are in the world of disruption. So this year we want to make sure that we have to adapt and innovate as a theme. So we are encouraging our insurance industry that the way we used to do things previously can't be the same. So we need to focus the new way how we do things. I can give you an example. As today now, disk used to receive disk manually. As we're standing now, you can receive on your phone. So those are the messages that we want to encourage our insurers that when we deal with services client, we should give them different from where we used to be. Or for the penetration has been always been there. It's been an issue. It's a market issue, and the way our setup dynamics, economic activity are all done in urban centers. So it's not easy to penetrate the rural local villages. But however, we are lobbying government to introduce policies like cooperative societies where if farmers can be cultivating in the rural areas, we'll be able to bring them together as our colleagues are doing in Kenya. So it's a long process. It can't be done overnight.
And Old Mutual Malawi says it believes that such conferences play a vital role in ensuring professional discharge of duties by players in the industry, hence the support.
Old Mutual is a responsible business. As a player in the insurance industry, we saw it fit that we should support the Insurance Institute of Malawi because it does support the development of insurance professionals. This conference is very critical because it is going to put together experts in the industry to brainstorm ways on how they can improve the industry and the professionalism in the industry. It is through collaborations like these that is going to help the industry to improve the penetration levels that are currently low. You know, wherever you have a tough operating environment, it means you have to do a lot of adjustments in order to survive. And this is what we are doing. And one of it is to ensure that we develop the right skills to be able to do that.
Now, to entertainment, arts and culture, a Malawian who emerged victorious in a food eating competition in Nigeria a few days ago has asked authorities and well wishes to support young people with unique talents. Spana Malawi, whose real name is Austin Awali, made an appeal to journalists on Monday in Blantyre upon arrival at Bakiri Muluzi International Airport. And we have a report from Christopher Sunday on details. All right, apologies, will not be able to give you that report now. Let's now look at the sports. In sports, the Malawi Under-20 women's football national team has taken a firm step towards qualifying for the next round of the 2026 FIFA World Cup preliminary phase after defeating South Sudan 2-0 in the first leg at Juba National Stadium. Goals from NLS Fabiano and Sara Mulimbiga gave Malawi an early advantage ahead of the return fixture scheduled for this Friday at the same venue, with the aggregate winner set to progress to the next stage of the preliminaries. Head coach Maggie Jombo praised the side's performance, adding that the players followed instructions and dominated the game in all aspects. Well, that's all we had time for in this news bulletin. A reminder of some of the top stories before I leave you. Pressure intensifies for President Chakwera to concede defeat as defeat looms. Presidential candidate for AAA political party Kwame Bandawe concedes defeat in the September 16 presidential race. And in business news, Insurance Institute of Malawi hopes for new ways of growing the industry through innovation and technology. And in sports news, Malawi Under-20 women's football national team triumphs 2-0 to South Sudan in the first leg of the 2026 FIFA World Cup preliminary phase. Well, visit www.zodiacmalawi.com for more on these and many other stories. My name is Alex Banda. Thank you so much.
Wasaiwala kupanga subscribe ku channel ya AMTV Malawi.